What's the most terrifying call you've got from the police? When I got to the school pickup, I immediately noticed my son wasn't waiting there for me like he usually did. I asked, "Has anyone seen my son?" But all the other parents just shrugged and went back to their phones. That was when I heard it, screaming coming from behind the main building near the playground. I ran toward the sound and quickly found my son on the ground with a bloody nose, while Brad, a fifth grader twice his size, stood over him with his fists still clenched. I instantly pushed Brad away and helped my son up, making him fall onto the ground. And as soon as I did, his parents suddenly appeared behind me. "How dare you lay hands on my son?" Brad's mom screamed at me. His father tried to push me back, and before I knew it, we all ended up in the principal's office. However, I couldn't believe what I heard. Since Brad's parents were powerful lawyers, the principal sided with them and just said Brad was defending himself. He actually said my son should have been playing somewhere else, and they just sat there with their smug faces, while my son's nose was literally still bleeding. I was furious and pulled him out of school that day. I decided homeschooling was better than letting him get terrorized, but 2 weeks later, rocks started hitting his bedroom window at night, and we found notes in our mailbox saying, "You can't hide forever." I thought he'd just leave us alone eventually, but when I came outside the next morning, my tires were slashed. I had everything on video and called the police. We could hear them screaming at Brad from their driveway about how much money this was costing them and how disappointed they were, which should have been a red flag about how a kid who'd never faced consequences would react to suddenly being punished. Apparently, Brad got grounded so bad he punched a hole in the wall, and my wife and I sighed, thinking it was finally over. We decided to keep our anniversary dinner reservation for Friday night, leaving our son home with his older brother. He was scared to see us leave, but we assured Brad couldn't hurt him. He was stuck in his room, unable to leave, and he'd be fine. As we were pulling out of the driveway, however, my wife says, "Did you see something in those bushes?" I looked closer, but couldn't see anything. We just drove away to the restaurant, but just as we pulled away and drove down the street, Brad came out from hiding. He was in the bush and was waiting for us to leave. He was so mad about being grounded, he decided he had to get revenge on my son. He hurled the brick through our living room window with such force that the glass shattered, and then he climbed inside our house. He didn't care what the consequences were anymore. He was getting my son back. Brad's voice echoed through our house as he yelled, "You got me grounded for a month. I swear once I'm done, nobody will recognize you." He headed straight to the kitchen first, searching the whole house for him. He kept calling out how bad he was gonna hurt him while pulling our largest kitchen knife off of our counter. My son heard the window shatter from upstairs and immediately knew who it was. He was hiding under his bed, terrified, knowing he wasn't even safe in his own home anymore. Brad started making his way upstairs, holding the large knife, ready to use it on my son. "You can't hide! You're gonna pay for this!" Eventually, he got to his bedroom door, but what he didn't know was his older brother was in there too. The door was locked, but on the way, our oldest son had also grabbed my handgun from my closet and was now aiming it at the door. Brad tried the handle, but after he realized it was locked, he started kicking it in, trying to force it open. He wouldn't stop, and eventually the lock started to give way. He was pounding on the door as my son cried behind his older brother, and Brad screamed as he finally kicked the door wide open. They saw him, knife raised high, his eyes wild with rage. Brad charged at him with the knife, ready to use it on him, but before Brad could get to him, his older brother stopped him. He pulled the trigger twice, hitting him directly in the chest. We got a call from the police in the middle of dinner, and my wife and I rushed home as quickly as we could. We found my two sons hugging each other, our house completely swarmed with police, and my son's room destroyed. We weren't invited to the funeral.